What's good, everybody? RagingYoshi here. We're here with kind of, I guess, a late night chill video. It's like almost 11 o'clock, and I just don't feel quite like going to bed just yet. So I want to talk a little bit and just talk about something random. As you can see my around me. Just want to talk about why I enjoy playing D&D a lot. I intend to actually start uploading a YouTube video series about me talking about my D&D experiences and like different things that I've had going on. This is very much just going to be a long form thing of just me kind of talking. Let me actually turn the music down just a little bit. Yeah, that's good. So this is very much going to just be like a long form me talking to myself type of thing, which isn't something I do very often. I used to try to put out vlogs weekly, but it's like I fell off the train with that a long time ago. Just because it's weird talking every week about just what you did during the week, when at the time my week was I went to classes, I hung out with my friends, this silly stuff happened, we played D&D. So let's just talk for a little bit, like D&D and me. Why do I enjoy D&D? What got me into D&D? Actually, this is gonna be a bit longer than I initially planned for it to be. So, I got into D&D in college. A lot of people be like, oh, they got in high school, they got in with this, they had like a friend, a family member. I got in because of a club I was in. So when I was in college, I kind of started joining lots of, okay, I was gonna say lots of clubs, but that's not really true. I joined a club in college. It was called the Card and Board Club. Card and Board Club, we played card games and board games. It was actually really cool because the Card and Board Club, it was where me and my friends, we met and played Yu-Gi-Oh! Which we played competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! We'd actually get in cards and go to tournaments together. It's where I met a lot of people who play Magic, and like some of these people I'm still good friends with to this day. I'm one of the few people from that group who actually went in to play a little bit of competitive Magic. I also have 7. Oh no, this is only 6. That one's a modern deck. There's 7 EDH decks on my desk next to me. So like I played a lot of card games. I also got a lot into board games during this time. Things like Settlers of Catan, King of Tokyo, Cards Against Humanities. We had so many board games. We played deck builders, like DC deck builder was a favorite. I have a Lord of the Rings deck builder over there somewhere. We did a lot of really cool stuff there. And so with our club being basically tabletop gaming, the whole idea was, hey, if we're doing tabletop gaming, why don't we start D&D groups? Truthfully, I never really knew enough about D&D to get interested in it. And at the time, I really didn't care when they mentioned it. And if we're going to be honest, which I will be completely honest, the entire reason I signed up for those D&D groups that day when they announced it is because the girl I liked, she like, her eyes lit up when they said that. And she was like, ooh, and she was like the first person to put her name on the list. So I'm just kind of sitting there like, sure, why not? It was half that, and I'm like, I'm a very much a, might as well give it a try type of person. I don't mind making, I don't mind having new experiences with things. I'm not really one to go, oh, this is gonna suck, I'm pissing. No. I genuinely look at things, I go, what's the worst that could happen? This will probably be cool, at least somewhat enjoyable. If I don't enjoy it, shrug, never have to do it again, but give it a try, and whatever. It was also an attempted ploy to spend time with the girl I had a crush on at the time. We're not gonna pretend that wasn't a thing. Never gonna pretend that wasn't a thing. And then coincidentally, I didn't get put in her group, so fuck. So at that point, it's like, well, shit, let's just play and have fun and see what happens. I ended up really liking playing D&D. It was a lot of fun, and it was one of the, honestly, coolest things that I'm really glad that I got into. Because there's this cool part of the fantasy aspect of having your character and playing them out and just doing cool things as these different characters. Like you're a group of adventurers, you're trying to save towns from their problems, you're negotiating with people, you're fighting bad guys and stuff. And it was actually really, really cool getting to play. That first D&D group, we actually played 4th edition Dungeons and Dragons, which was the first time. It was my first time ever playing. I never knew about the different editions. I found out about it later. 4th edition is a really weird enigma, especially for me because it was my first taste of Dungeons and Dragons. So it holds like that special part in my heart where that's how I got into it. In hindsight, it's not really great. It does some really good things, especially since now that I have quite a few years of on and off playing D&D under my belt, but it wasn't the best system. I ended up learning multiple systems throughout college. Me and my friends, we've become pretty big fans of Pathfinder, which from what I've heard is just more or less a port of 3.5. I don't know the specifics, but we played a metric shit ton of Pathfinder. I had a friend, he was a very big fan of World of Darkness, so we did run quite a few World of Darkness campaigns, which those were interesting. And it was like, apparently me and my friends, we had this strange ability to think ahead in situations where we should have gotten fucked. But because someone thinks ahead, like for example, we're in a situation where several of the party members have just killed the commander of a starship we were on. Me, being technically a good character, is like, they just killed this guy. Watch there be a retinal scanner in the next room, and even though I really didn't want to do it, I decapitated him and brought the head with me. Which, he's like, my DM was like, that's a very fucked up thing you just did. He's like, you lose some morality for that. Also, good thinking ahead, because hey, guess what? There was a retina scanner in the next room. So yeah, lots of shit like that happened. I had a lot of fun playing D&D. My first group we played in, what ended up happening was I was the only person on our team who could hit targets. I was a ranger, and I literally just sat in the back line like doom, 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 hitting everything. Most of my team could not hit to save their lives, and all they would do was swing and whiff. So we got to the point where fights literally turned into me just going, mow them down, and just running through entire groups of enemies. One cool memory I have is we were doing it was a combat encounter, and what had happened was, it was like, we're all on this like rock that was falling. And so, as we're fighting the enemies, I'm in one spot, and my DM's like, the rock beneath your feet crumbles as you fall off the platform. And I'm like, no, I tried to save myself. I rolled like a 19 plus whatever my mod, he's like, not good enough. And I'm like, and my character falls. I talked to the DM about that later, and so he actually explained to me that the reason he did that to me is because my character was the only one who was accomplishing things in combat. And he realized this, and realized it's partially the enemies we're fighting, partially me kind of being... I have a very forward personality at times, so I tend to take control of situations. It's not intentional, it really isn't. I just kind of tend to take control of things very quickly. Maybe that's why I'm a teacher, but I digress. So what my DM actually ended up doing was he separated me from the party and let the party deal with the problems themselves. And then after that was done, then it's like, okay, then it's just me and the big bad got like a big bad one-on-one where I'm just like, as I'm moving around the battlefield. Which, truthfully, I actually like that the way he did that, because rather than excluding me, he separated me from the party, let the party have their moment, and then I got my moment. Which, honestly, I was completely okay with that. We had lots of interesting stuff happen in that campaign, but it's like, there was my character, who was like pretty serious for the most part, and then we look at all my friends' characters, and god damn, there was some nonsense. One thing I very vividly remember is my two friends, Dan and Joe. Dan and Joe actually did this thing where their characters were brothers who had separation anxiety. So what would happen is, when they would be separated, they would start going, and I cannot make this up, wee woo, wee woo. I can't keep, like, if you think I'm joking, no, this is an actual thing that they would do. So like, we had lots of fun with that. I remember we were looking for one of them who'd gotten lost, and my one friend Peter, his character was like a pyromancer, and he just burns a giant wee-woo into the sky so that they could figure out where we were. Which, you know, we ended up getting the band back together after that. I remember, like, as I played D&D through college, I actually got curious about DMing myself, because I actually found the idea of DMing very interesting, because you're a storyteller and storytelling is fun. Make up your own story, sit there and play, and you're like kind of not controlling everything that's going on, but you're crafting the story. And that's kind of how I always viewed it. Based on what my players were doing, I would craft the story around them. I've gotten better at doing it since, because in the beginning I was okay, and I kind of stagnated out, but then over the years I got much better at doing different things in terms of crafting the story and cultivating the experience around my players. So I think I DM'd 2 different games in 4th edition. I DM'd 2 different games and like 3 different games technically in Pathfinder. I've DM'd 1 game in World of Darkness. And then at this point, I've DM'd 3 games and a 1-shot in 5th edition. Which 5th edition is what I play currently, and I actually very much enjoy and like the 5th edition system a lot. 5th edition is pretty simple, and I've put a lot of time into learning and understanding how it works, and I intend to keep putting time into this system because it's really good for what I enjoy doing. Personally, I've heard people talk about other good tabletop systems. 5th edition's kind of my personal favorite right now, so I'm going to keep using it for the time being. Once I graduated college, I kind of had a huge drop off of playing Dungeons and Dragons. I wouldn't play for like well over a year, and it was really bad because is it near me or is that on the other? It's on the other side of the room. I have a giant container just full of dice, and so like those dice would just go unused for so long. Like for example, I play card games. These are the dice I use when I play card games. I don't have just like 1 or 2 packs of these. I have so many. Like when I lose one of the complete sets, I stop using them because I now hate the fact that that set of dice is missing a die, and I buy new ones, which honestly all look really cool. But now imagine that except with Dungeons and Dragon dice, and I have dozens of Dungeons and Dragons dice. I've bought like the pound of dice several different times. I bought individual little bags of dice. I actually have gone on Amazon where they have like 5 to 10 sets of D&D dice, and it'll be like what, $8, and I'll buy those pretty frequently. Now I do that now because as a DM, if I have a player and they like, oh man, I forgot my dice, I just like, instead of like having them go to the bucket, or sometimes I'll have people that'll just go to my bucket anyway and just grab their dice immediately. But if someone's like, hey, you have dice, I just literally pull up a little satchel and just flick it over to them, and they have a full set of dice right in their hand. And then we have the bucket for extra dice, and sometimes it's pretty dice in there that people like to use anyway. Dungeons and Dragons is really just like a fun thing for me to do because it's playing make-believe, it's chilling. A lot of times when I play Dungeons and Dragons, it's just like about having a good time with friends. So like you're playing with friends, you're interacting with each other, you usually get a lot of good laughs. I have so many good stories from playing Dungeons and Dragons, both as a DM and as a player. Like one time playing Dungeons and Dragons, what actually ended up happening was I talked with my DM, and I had a character who had split personalities. And so the way we worked it, my character's stats never changed. However, each personality was a different class, and they didn't intersect at all. It's either you're this personality or that personality. If you're personality A, then you are a swashbuckler. If you're personality B, you're a gunslinger. And the way we worked it was, I was not in control of when my personality switched. The DM was. I gave her full control. And it's just like, okay. So we'd be doing something, and she's just like, hey, roll me a d20. I'm like, fuck. I'd be like, okay, 8. She's like, yeah, your personality switched. I'm like, God damn it. And I had 2 character sheets. So literally at the table, you'd see me go and switch my character sheets. Best part is one of the players at the table never figured it out, because I didn't tell anyone that this was happening. but it's like I'd play the characters very differently. One version of the character was very, very helpful and very kind and caring. The other one was like, I'm just gonna walk off on my own. I'm not really interacting with you guys. Fuck you guys. And then like he'd literally sit there and watch them get fucked and be like, why don't I help them? Because it'll be easier to get through this area with everyone here with me. And it was just like a really, really cool character concept that I don't think I pulled it off perfectly. And if given a chance, I would totally try a different take on that same character. What else? What else is another good memory I had? Oh God. I ran one D&D campaign where the entire idea of it was video game ripping off video games at all points. So like something in every adventure they went through as a party was ripped off from some video game. This party ended up falling apart just because like people arguing, and then it's just like it got really tedious to run, and we had a super annoying player who was hard to play with for everyone, and it just got really frustrating. So just to give you the quick synopsis, like the whole idea is the characters were all cursed by a mysterious being who was trying to get them to do something for it. And had we gotten the end game, it would have turned out that, hey, you guys are grabbing these relics so that I can come back and terrorize the world. Because, you know, what a terrible night for a curse. Castlevania 2, you don't get that reference. And so they go to different areas, and each area, the main idea of it was based off of another like video game we played. The first area was, I think I based it off of Mario RPG, the Forest Maze, where literally the players were wandering through a forest maze with the boss at the end. It was really, really funny. Two players ended up wandering through the maze on their own, while the rest of the party dealt with one encounter. Those two players dealt with a different encounter, and both groups actually ended up beating the shit out of their encounters pretty well. It was actually really cool. And then, what's it called? What happened after that? I think the next area that they were starting to go through when we stopped playing, it was a haunted mansion. For those who missed Luigi's Mansion, it was kind of supposed to be like a cross between Luigi's Mansion and I think a little bit of Resident Evil. But as I said, we never actually finished going through that game. We had planned to do a BioShock area. What was something else I wanted to do? God, I can't remember, but I remember like after Luigi's Mansion, like we had this whole BioShock underwater thing planned. It was actually going to be really cool. And if you even stopped and looked at it, you'd be like, so you're ripping this off? And because it was me and a friend of mine, we were both DMing together, and we'd look, if you had said to us like, so you're ripping off BioShock, we would have looked you straight in the eye and went, yep, and went right back to what we were doing. That's how blatant we were. We did not give a shit. We were just having fun, which I think that's the biggest important piece of Dungeons and Dragons. It's just sitting and having fun with shit. I remember I had one D&D campaign I played in college, and the whole point of this campaign was it was supposed to be a ripoff of Mario. But then it's like I threw all these other random video game references in there. But it was like it was fun. It was like everyone had a good time. It was silliness. It was nonsense. I kind of just at points just did whatever the fuck I wanted and wasn't thinking about shit. This is one of the campaigns that made me realize I'm very good at improvising bullshit, because if any of my friends who were in that campaign are listening to this, very little of that campaign was planned out. Like, you could tell the moments where I had something super planned out, and like very frequently things never went the way I planned them, with like 2 exceptions in the entire campaign. And it was like I'd look at a situation and go, I want the players to get here, and somehow from here something was gonna happen and I needed them to get to another location. But I never knew how I was gonna get from that point to another point. So like, for example, they started out, they were all invited to this giant mansion party. So all the players are just going around the mansion, they're meeting different people, they're talking to people, they're having a good time. A couple of my friends, they're partying, and out of all the people in the mansion, specifically the players, were invited downstairs where the person wanted to show them this cool, massive innovation because he wanted to show it to them as like an opportunity for them to become more powerful, to gain wealth, whatever they wanted. And one of my friends, who canonically carried multiple cats on him at all times, goes, I throw a carton of milk into the portal. And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, what will this do to the portal? And so what I came up with is, okay, the portal explodes, sucking everyone in. That's essentially what happened. No one was hurt, but they were all sucked into another world. I made it a point to never forget this detail, because then, as they got to a very late part of the campaign, they found research notes about portals to other worlds. And when examining the research notes on the portals, it actually states portals do not react well in the presence of lactose. And it was like, this was, as a point, this was like 3 months after we started this campaign. Everyone started laughing. Everyone's dying. They're like, you actually remember this? I'm like, fuck yeah, I remember this. I tend to do that, where there's very small, stupid things when DMing that I will remember, and they will become like, not a reoccurring joke, but I'll always make sure that this was not forgotten. And this isn't from me writing notes down, it's just I tend to remember very specific details of things. And it was actually just kind of really cool, like small things. What else? What else in D&D? What other good D&D memories do I have? Oh, I gotta tell this story. This story is actually really funny. So, as a point, we had a character who will remain. We had a player who will remain unnamed. Reason why is this player was very annoying. I'm going to keep my language we're going to try to keep my language kind of tame right now. So what frequently ended up happening is this player did multiple things that frustrated people. Number one, he would talk over other people at the table. Number two, he read the monster manual and player's handbook cover to cover, as you would say. And it got to the point where I'd be sitting there throwing monsters at them, and they're fighting the monster. He'd be like, oh, I know exactly what this thing is. 12 AC, it's resistant to physical level. And I'm just like, because it's just like, stuff like that, it takes people out of it, and it's very frustrating to deal with as a DM. What else would he do? Oh, he would harp on about very insignificant things that no one else picked up as significant, and it would just be really frustrating to deal with. So what actually ended up happening one day is, let's backtrack for a second. Second session in for the party, we actually had an enemy that appeared, and this enemy was supposed to be like a general of the evil king. And the general evil king, like nothing, it was supposed to be nothing special. They got in a fight with him and it was a tamed white dragon. I reduced the stats of a white dragon down a lot because it was like he's under the control of the bad guy, and the players needed to. In the fight, essentially what happened is the fight could end multiple different ways. Because the bad guy controlling the white dragon, they could either A, kill the bad guy, which the dragon would be free from the control, give them something, and then he would fly off. Or they could kill the dragon first. Killing the dragon first, the bad guy would take this moment to, like, he stuck his hand, take the dragon heart, and then would just disappear, and would use the dragon's heart to gain power of some sort. I don't remember what I actually fleshed out. Why did my phone vibrate? Oh, wow, Johnny, you're like hours late, dude. God, I messaged him like early this morning, and then he just now responded. God damn it, Johnny. No, but continuing. So what ended up happening was my dragonborn friend talks to the dragon and finds out that the dragon is under the man's control and can't disobey him, and then doesn't relay this to any of the other party members. Now, no, all of us, my group was almost entirely new players, but they all understood one very important thing. what they know does not equate to what their characters know. So they are not going to act on something their characters don't know, which they were all actually very good at that, except for the unnamed player. And so what ended up happening is they just fought the battle like that conversation didn't happen. And then at the end, like as a point, this unnamed player also kept attacking the dragon. So when the dragon died, the dude ripped his heart out and then was like, "Ha! Batman, disappear!" And they're just like, "Oh, well, fuck." And then he would, so for the rest of this campaign, he harped on about that guy who disappeared, which I guess that's my fault a little bit. Openly admitted that that guy was always a thing looming in the background of people's minds. But it's like at the same time, it's like that guy who's supposed to be a one-off enemy that they kind of let escape because no one went after him when he started running. He didn't actually Batman disappear. He ran and no one chased him. And I'm just it was really, really funny because this guy, number one, he never told anybody about the conversation he had. He didn't think anything was wrong when they kept attacking the dragon that admitted that it only fought them because it was under control of the person standing next to them. But I digress. It was quite the interesting turn of events. What ended up happening with that campaign, back to my story, is he got on a lot of people's nerves at the table. Like, I'm trying to put this as nicely as I can. Let me put it this way. He would very frequently cut in front of people, and he'd like talk over people. And it's really, really funny because in another campaign I ended up playing later in that year, me and him were in it, and my DM, initially, he was sitting next to a friend of mine, my friend Vinny, who's very soft-spoken, and frequently he would cut Vinny off. I sat next to the DM, and the DM one day, she goes, no, you sit next to so-and-so, Vinny sits next to me. And I was kind of confused at the time, but then quickly realized why that was done. You can't talk over me, and I will shut somebody up if they're trying to talk over me. And it also, like, I kind of I was in a position where people respected me very highly. They still do, but it's like, my point is just like, I had a very large amount of respect in my friend group. So if people tried to talk over me, I'm like, dude, be quiet, let me say what I have to say, then you can go. They frequently listen. Also, if people start talking over other people, I'm kind of like, you, stop. Which, sit me next to the problem, I can control the problem. Which, to that DM's credit, genius idea. But I digress. It was a lot of this person, he'd do that, and then he'd also make situations about things that, imagine that encounter with the dude and the dragon happened. I know I'm jumping around all over the place, I apologize. As I said, it's late, I'm just talking to the top of my head. So imagine that encounter with the person and the dragon happens, and then what ends up happening is 12 sessions later, I'm not exaggerating, 12 sessions later, he brings it up again, randomly, like nothing has prompted it. There was no conversation where it's like, guys, I wonder whatever happened to that guy. They were talking to a NPC that was there, trying to get information, and then he's just like, hey, you know anything about this guy? And he took a dragon's heart. And it's like, on one hand, yes, it's perfectly fine to like stop and get information about stuff like that when it's relevant. But at the same time, it's like, it wasn't like, oh, we just got attacked by the king's forces. Do you think they were sent by this guy? No, it's like they were walking through the woods and met an old man, and it's like, hey, do you know about this? It was like so random. But continuing. We had an NPC character, and basically we made her have a set of PTSD triggers. This set of PTSD triggers, including the mention of that general's name. And it was basic, to explain, The character was basically batshit insane for a while, and then she got knocked unconscious, woke up, and was fine. Like that, like not even a joke. Got knocked unconscious, woke up, and she was like this sweet, nice little girl. Which everyone was like, this is not okay. I am concerned. What the fuck is this? Every member of the party had that reaction. So then what ended up happening was, you know, her set of PTSD triggers, he triggered them. And when you trigger them, the whole thing is she would go to like a blind, unassailable rage until something calms her down. So what ended up happening is he started triggering her in like, for I'm gonna say it was like a level 50 wizard's house. No, 4E only went up to level 30. I'm saying level 50 to put this in perspective. That's how strong this guy potentially was. And I made it very well known that he was just insanely like godhood level strong. So what the guy does essentially is, without saying a word to anyone, he kind of is just like, I see what's about to happen here. Let's wait till that's out of my house. And so he just kind of puts her in like a mental stasis until they get far enough away from his house where it won't damage his house. This is kind of hilarious because what ended up happening was the players walked away and she went into an unassailable rage and just started attacking everyone. Every player had the frame of mind to get the fuck out of Dodge, except for the specific player that I've been talking about, where I forget exactly what he did, but his thought process was, I am in full plate armor. Let's jump in a river. Now, granted, she was throwing fire spells at him, but for those who don't understand, in full plate armor, you get massive negatives to swimming. Like, it's not funny. It's to the point where the game is basically telling you, don't. Like, it's like, I can't really put it into any other perspective than the game is telling you, this is a terrible idea. You are highly likely to die unless you roll a natural 20. Which the fucker rolls a natural 20 like twice and gets himself out of Dodge. Like, I've never seen nonsense like this before. Like, here's the thing. I'm not the type of person to be like, oh, I don't like you, you're annoying, I'm going to roll against you. It's like, even if you're annoying, I'm like, we play the dice as they lie. That's very much how I am. So I'm like, damn. I'm not even like, damn, like I'm upset. Cause I don't want his character to die. I don't want people to not have a good time. But it's like, watching him sweat's kind of funny, we're not gonna lie. Watching him sweat was very entertaining. To the point where 2 of the characters in-game got the equivalent of popcorn, set up a picnic blanket from a safe distance, and watched the fireworks. That entire situation actually got resolved by one of my players, my good friend Jeff. He actually remembered that this wasn't actually something I had planned on, but it's like, he remembered one day she'd been mesmerized by a butterfly. So he frantically finds a butterfly and puts it on her nose. And I'm just sitting there, I'm like, you remember that. I'm gonna reward you for that. And so he completely diffused the situation because she's just transfixed by the butterfly and calmed down. I'm the type of person who's like, if you remember something to the point where you can use it to a really good advantage, I'll give it to you. Like, that's actually really good, like, thinking, and like in the moment crisis situation, that's what we think of. So I'm just like, good shit. So then it was funny. God, I've been talking for 35 minutes. What other good adventures and memories have I had in D&D? So, funny story. Because I've mentioned that I play Magic the Gathering. My group that I play Magic with, a good friend of mine, Russ, he had never played Dungeons and Dragons before. And like, I'm like, hey Russ, do you want to play? I'm like, hey guys, you guys want to play Dungeons and Dragons? Our entire Magic friend group was like, oh shoot, yeah, that'd be cool. Who'd be the DM? I'm like, well, I've been DMing for a while, so why don't I DM something for everybody? And everyone's like, oh yeah, no, that's great. I actually like that. I liked it a lot. And then my friend Russ goes, oh man, like, that's kind of nerdy. And I'm like, we're like, dude, you play Magic? He's like, you're right. He's like, but he's like, I grew up in a house where nerdy things like this weren't things you did. So I grew up like, it was like a sports like type of thing. She's like, so this is very much out of my comfort zone. And I'm like, Russ, and like everyone in the group echoed this sentiment. We're like, dude, you'll probably very much like playing Dungeons and Dragons. Why don't you at least, for the sake of it, give it a try with us, and we could see if you like it. And like for me, it's like we're all working adults. Like, I'm on the younger end of this group. The older end, it's my friend Matt, who's 40, and then it's like everyone else is in between. And then there's like me, and then the two youngest of the group, my friends Johnny and Jacob. So I'm just like, Russ, why don't you at least give it a try? It's a little weird at first, but like once you get the hang of it, you'll understand it. So it's like, all right, fuck it, I'll give it a try. You know what? Whatever. I'm spending time with the boys. I'm like, exactly. You're spending time with the boys, and then I'm like, hey, if you want, I'll even extend the invitation to your wife, because I figured this would be cool. It'll give him and his wife something they can do together with our group. So his wife, she actually joins in with us. We are missing a bunch. We've only played one session because pandemic happened and we haven't been able to play, and that's fine. Shit happens. We'll get back to it eventually. But so we're missing a bunch of players for our first session just because different life things happened to people, so they couldn't make it. And then what ended up happening was we ran our first game with 4 players, which 4-player games, like, I actually really like small games when I can play them because they don't happen often with my groups, but they normally work out great. We play, and my friend Russ makes a big dumb barbarian. I think his character's name is Conan the Barbarian. And his wife, she makes an elf cleric. My friend Matt makes, what the fuck did Matt make? He had a half elf rogue, I believe. And what did James make? I want to say it was a dwarf paladin or a dragonborn paladin. I actually don't remember the race of the character. We went through character creation with everyone, then we started playing, and everyone had a really good time. I remember I made my friend Russ so happy, like he had such a good time. And what I had done, because they're like playing it out, they're talking to each other, they're enjoying the banter back and forth, and then they got ambushed by goblins, or the goblins attempted to ambush them. Our rogue saw it, and he's like, boom, boom, like putting arrows into the heads of goblins. Out of like the 4 goblins that attacked him, he single-handedly took down 2 of them. I believe the cleric and paladin worked together to take down the 3rd, and then Conan the Barbarian, he rolled a crit on one of the goblins. Now, he was a half-orc, and I didn't know this because I've played a half-orc barbarian before, but apparently I miss shit when I read that book, because half-orc barbarians have an ability, well, assume half-orcs have an ability that when they crit, they get to roll 3 times the dice instead of 2 times the dice. I didn't know this was a thing. So he crits it. I'm like, oh my god. I hand him 3d12s and I'm like, roll your damage, dude. He rolls it, adds it up. The goblin only had like 8 HP. He does over 30. So I'm like, okay, how can we do this? We need to embellish this because my dude just literally went and just beat the shit out of this goblin in a single strike. So I have fun with it. I'm like, okay, in one mighty swing, you raise your axe up and shink, cleave straight through the goblin. As you cleave through, you see the 2 pieces of the goblin slide apart as each one falls to either side of the goblin, blood and guts squirting out as your axe is cleaved clean in half. My friend Russ was over the moon for the rest of the night. When we got done and we were just chatting about stuff, he went, I cut a motherfucker in half. I cut a motherfucker and made 2 motherfuckers. I'm not exaggerating when this is what he said. And he had a very good time. He's like, I wasn't sure if I was gonna like this, but this was really fun. So I'm actually really sad we haven't played more because of that. Truthfully, moments like that make me as a DM super fucking happy. It's like, if I have a moment where people are like giddy because of what they've managed to pull off, I'm like, oh god, I'm like getting so into all this talking, I'm killing myself, help. That ain't the most New Jersey shit ever. I think a Wawa juice and just taking it to the head. No. I've had a lot of good memories and good times playing Dungeons and Dragons over the years. It's why I've honestly gotten so into it now. Like, to put it in perspective, like, I actually don't play in many sessions currently. Reason being is just, unfortunately, I'm the DM friend. As I put it, I'm the person who knows how to DM, who's done it a ton, and so frequently I get pulled into the DM position. But it's like when I do get to play characters, I treasure that moment. This is actually my binder, and so this binder is my DM binder, where I have all my character stuff for whatever characters I play. So, this is the most up-to-date version of the character I'm currently playing. I have D&D Beyond, so I use that to print out like a full copy of her sheet once I have it up to date. And it's like, I have her entire character sheet here. If I flip through, what I also have is her entire backstory, so bam, her backstory, which I actually need to update this because I have a more up-to-date version of her backstory. So I want to put that in, which her backstory didn't really change. It's just I elaborated on her family members. And then I have another packet, that is literally everything she'll be out. I'm going to be taking with her as I level her up. Reason I do this is leveling up is something that frequently can take a long time. And so rather than make my level ups take a shit ton of time, I'm like, okay, oh, we're level 4, turn the page, okay, here's all my level 4 stuff, and I just go on my sheet and go tick, 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 all the boxes until I'm done. Which, for me, like, it's like, oh, I gained this ability for my class, so boom. Oh, I gained a spell. Which spell do I have listed for me to gain? Oh, I gained more spell slots. I highlighted it so I recognize that that's changed on my sheet. And this is just something I've started doing because it makes my life easier. When it comes time to level up, I know exactly what I'm doing. I have my plan. And it actually allows me to expedite my stuff. What I also have is I have a couple pages of session notes where like I just take I don't take very detailed notes, but I make sure like important stuff that's going on. I take brisk notes so that I have an idea of what's going on. I want to make sure that there's nothing that I'm missing, or like if my character learns something, I write down what my character learns. It's probably the best way to put it. I actually go out of my way not to write down things my character didn't learn, because I don't want to look through it at a later date and be like, oh, I know this. Wait a minute, I wasn't there for that. That's my character binder. I also, you know, printed out a nice little cover. I put my YouTube icon on it because I kind of use my YouTube icon for almost everything. Which, I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but it's my YouTube icon. I might actually start using a different picture I have for things that are more personal and just save my YouTube icon for YouTube-related stuff, I guess. Like, you know, my Twitch, my YouTube, my Twitter, because those are all linked to my YouTube channel. God. Is there anything else I really want to talk about in terms of Dungeons & Dragons stuff? I'm trying to think. There's a lot of really cool stuff I wish I could do in Dungeons & Dragons. One thing I brainstormed about once upon a time ago was like doing Avatar: The Last Airbender fused with Dungeons & Dragons. I thought that'd be really cool. Where like, my whole thought about it was, and like, hear me out, it was either you were a bender or you were a martial class. So that's stuff like fighters, rogues, rangers. Paladin kind of would be, I guess Paladin might be too much and stuff like that. But then it's like, after the martial classes, however, you could choose to be a bender. So you could be a water bender, a fire bender, an air bender, or an earth bender. And based on the type of bender you picked, you had a specialization. So like how in 5e at level 3, you pick like the specifics of your class that you go into. As a bender at level 3, you'd pick specifics. So like, one idea I had for it was like, as a fire bender, you'd either become a lightning bender, where you can now access lightning abilities, or you become a combustion bender. So if you've seen Avatar: The Last Airbender, the dude who like would shoot the lasers out of his forehead at them in book 3, that's kind of what I'm talking about. Or you could just be a very powerful firebender. So it would be split between either lightning, combustion, or you were a refined firebender, and I would have come up with some name for that. And then based on those, you get different abilities and stuff as you level up. And I thought that would have been really cool, but it was something that I've never been able to find anything that does it. And it's also like something I've never put a lot of time into myself. Maybe that's something I'll do at some point in the future, but it's like, I think that'd be really cool if we could find a way to make that work. I know I have friends who wanted to play Dragon Ball Z Dungeons and Dragons, where it's like you're set in a Dragon Ball Z styled world, which I think that'd actually be really cool. And I found several different homebrews for it, and it's like I keep looking at them and it's like I don't like them. Ugh. Or it's like they'll have something I like and I don't like the way they handle things. So it's like that's like my biggest problem with it. Is there anything else about D&D I want to talk about? I know there's something I'll share. Where's my book at? So, kind of like my last little tangent. So, having DM for so long, I got to the point where I decided, with all my ramblings about different Dungeons and Dragons things, and like I like DM a bunch of different games, and I had a couple games that I was kind of like, hey, I'm gonna set them in the same world. So my thought was, if I'm gonna set stuff in the same world, why don't I start to flesh out that world? Which is, this is my sketchbook. I do a little bit of drawing and stuff in here. I'm probably gonna do some drawing in it tomorrow, just in my spare time. But let's take a look at this. This is my world that I drew. This is hand drawn by me. I actually looked at some stuff on YouTube with how I drew this. There's a YouTuber, his channel, it's WASD20. So letters WASD and the number 20. Good channel. He has a series on how to draw fantasy maps. I used that to kind of do this entire thing. It was really, really cool. It was really fun, honestly. Like, I really like doing stuff like this. I actually took the time, and I ended up as part of my science classes, because we were talking about terrain in the world. So at the end of that, my whole thing was, hey, let's draw maps as a project. And so I kind of shared some of my map making stuff with like ideas with them. I had a lot of students who had a lot of fun with it. They were like, oh, we get to draw, and like I showed them, they're like, ooh, because like this is my second sketchbook. My first sketchbook, I actually don't know where it is as I literally look at it. My first sketchbook has other maps in it, which these are things that I use to kind of explain ideas to my kids and show them how to do different stuff. So like that map that I showed you, this was like draft number 3 of it, and then like I've improved it since then. I have lots of little half-done maps where it's like I started to do them and then it's like I wasn't doing them for myself. I was doing them to show off different things you can do. It's like, here's another half-done map. One of the little islands in my other map, I actually drew a zoomed in version of it. So here it is right here. I actually still I want to keep this map because I actually still do a lot of stuff with this one. Got lots of random doodles. Here's me working on trying to draw people and stuff like that. Working on different eyes and stuff. There's lots of stuff I've worked on with my characters. I mean, with my drawing. I'm still not the best. I'd say I'm painfully okay at what I do. But it's like, these are just me trying to help my kids learn how to shape their islands and stuff. All this came from me drawing Dungeons and Dragons maps and just being like, yeah. I don't know. I guess, as I said, this is just a late night rambling video. Just me talking about Dungeons and Dragons stuff. Like, I'm not even going to edit this video down. I want this to be put out there. This video is going to go up on YouTube like this, with just this long, overdrawn thing. Reason being, it's just, this isn't the type of something that I really would care enough to edit. It's just me talking. And I like talking. Drink some water real quick. Honestly, I'm really thankful for Dungeons and Dragons and getting involved in it, because me learning Dungeons and Dragons and me playing it a lot, it gives me other things to do with friends. It's like I meet up with my friends, we get to play more, we get to talk about it, and it's just a really like completely enjoyable experience just to sit with your friends and play through this story. Because the way I've always looked at it is you're hanging out with people you care about. And it's like, you could hang out with the people you care about. You could sit there and watch a movie. You could go out, you could go watch a movie and something like that with your friends. And it would eat probably the same amount of time, maybe a little bit less, than playing D&D with your friends. But the issue with that is, when you watch a movie with your friends, it's, yeah, you're there with them, but you're all focused on the movie. When you play Dungeons and Dragons, you're all there together, and now you're interacting with each other. You're talking very actively and adamantly with each other. Yeah, you're not talking as yourself. You're using weird voices, or opposed to voices, or you talk in strange accent with weird inflection. So it's different. It's very different. But at the same time, you're interacting with each other and you're building memories together, versus passively sitting there and just be like, yeah, let's watch Captain America. I'm not even gonna front. That was actually a really good day, me hanging out with my boys, watching Captain America. But still, it's need more water. I have not been drinking enough water today. But still, it's a really, really good, like, it's a really good, like, thing you can just do with your friends to spend time. But I digress. I've been listening to music and just talking for almost an hour now, and no one's probably gonna watch through this entire thing of me just rambling on about my Dungeons and Dragon adventures and shit, but that's fine. I'm probably gonna do a few more of these, not tonight, obviously. I want to go to bed, but this is something I'll definitely do in the future. Well, I'll just sit and talk about something, and we'll just go off the top of the dome. Just no editing, no script, just talk. If you'd like, I am in fact working on a video series where I'm talking about my one D&D campaign that I've been running for the past year, and I'm going to try to clean up the videos on that, make sure that they're good quality and everything's being expressed and talked about in a well done manner, where it doesn't sound like I'm stumbling over my words, I'm doubling back over stuff. Because I want to make sure with that series, it's kind of something good and fun that you can look at and watch. But I digress. Thank you for sticking with me this entire time, for this entire 52 fucking minutes. You guys are awesome. Catch you guys on the flip side. See ya.